The Diocese of Truro going the same way as Leicester. The Church in Uganda backs the government's homosexuality bill, and a former Archbishop wants assisted dying to happen in the UK. It's Rev Dan's Roundup. Hi, my name's Rev Dan. I'm a vicar in the Church of England, and this is Rev Dan's Roundup, bringing you the news that's happening across the Christian world. We start off with news coming out of the Diocese of Truro on my previous video of Digging Deeper, where I take one of the news stories on a Friday afternoon and dig deeper. I'm releasing those videos on Tuesday, so make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the notification so you get those videos. This will be my video for next week, digging deeper into what's happening in Truro, probably very similar to what's happening in Leicester. So, headline from the two headlines, in fact, from the Church Times: patterns of parish ministry to change under the new diocesan plan for Truro. Same kind of issues, the same that's going on. Less people going to church, less money. So, for example, in 2001, 13,000 people used to go to church there. Now, in 2021, it's 6,000, and children fell from 1,200 to just over 400. So they want to basically make oversight managers, ministers. I call them oversight managers. But they want to make oversight ministers. So where you got your normal parish priests, what they want to do is to, as they retire, form bigger areas and get lay people and probably retired or non-stipendiary, ordained people to come to do the groundwork, and have oversight managers, ministers, overseeing that. But it really takes away that parochial ministry, and what they say in this article, or by the way, all the articles are linked down below. So on their process, they're calling it On the Way. They talk about releasing that to £10 million of reserves over the next 10 years to drive down the cost of parish share. That's always a good thing. So church should pay less money to the diocese. And the decades-long decline in stipendiary clergy in the diocese, which doesn't make sense if you're getting rid of clergy. Not getting rid of, they say they're doing it naturally by retiring, but also actually they have got special plans to help people move on or retire early or something like that. But we'll dig deeper into that on Tuesday. So they're quite a rich diocese. They've got lots of reserves, but they're going to go down this new model of ministry where people like me, you won't see as much because we're covering more areas, and you'll just get people who are either lay, so they're not ordained, or you get non-stipendiary, that's retired, or who have enough money and want to be a priest but still have a job. It means you lose out your midweek ministry. A lot of midweek ministry becomes a Sunday ministry. That's what the focus seems to be. So the next article about this in the Church Times, the headline says, Bishop of Truro outlines guiding principles for ministry changes in the diocese. And so really just picking up on one thing out of this article before, remember, come back on Tuesday. One of the areas, East Wivellshire, has proposed that 19 parishes grouped into 5 benefices, with 5 incumbents become 3 benefices, each with a hub authorised by Bishop Mount Stephen to cross parochial boundaries. So they give you boundaries. The retirement of 2 of the 5 incumbents has given a natural opportunity. So you imagine, like, you're in post like I am at the moment, and you've got a benefice anyway with quite a few parishes. And say you got 4 parishes, there's still a lot to cover, especially rural. And they say, well, your next door neighbour's retiring, and you're going to get all or part of their parish benefits as well. But what we're going to do is make you area manager for my retail days. We're going to make you area manager, and we're going to get other people to do the work on the ground, but they're not going to be there all the time like you are. And we'll parachute you in when we need you for some local stuff. If you've got time, you'd be running around. It's just like, I don't want to say this is like bad, but and just go, well, you know, it's never going to work, because not every diocese, but most dioceses are going to face these questions. Religion in general in the UK is going down. Did that in a video here. And so there's going to be tough questions. You know, I say take your money and put parish priests out there. Put parish priests out there. And good people. Train them properly. Make sure they're called to do this. A passion for mission. It's a proclamation of the gospel that brings people to church. You know, and I worked for Blacks Outdoor, which had millets in another brand. I forgot what the brand was, kind of like a surfy brand. We went to a big conference, all of us, hundreds of people, thousands probably, lots of stalls they had. And the CEO at the time, he caused controversy, but this is true. He said, you know, like, I look at the figures, and that, you know, 15% of you are amazing, or a few percent are amazing at your job. And then you got really people who are really pushing it, and then you got people who are just doing what they need to do. And then you got about a third. You're not making any money. You're costing us money. In fact, you're costing us. You're making losses, and stalls shouldn't be making losses, and you're not good. And you know, and he really challenged those people, and that's what should be done. Challenge. You know, we've got a gospel to proclaim. It's hard with society now. We all have to face it. I have to face it as well. But we need more people on the front line, not making oversight ministers. So the church in Uganda has come out in its support of the bill that's been passed, the Anti-Homosexuality Act of 2023. That says the church is grateful. This is a difficult one. It's really, because I do not agree with this. You know, everyone's made in the image of God. As Christians, what we should be teaching people who are Christians is that, you know, singleness is the holy way. That's what God's called people in these very difficult situations to live a holy life. That's what he's called it, a holy life. And for a church to support the government in this and not speak out against the government, because the government is saying, from what I read in the article, that the death penalty would be imposed on people caught in homosexual relationships. I don't know what level or what has to happen to get there, but it's certainly on the cards, on the table, as it were. But the church in Uganda said, we do not support the death penalty, but we do support life imprisonment. Life imprisonment. It's you know, the church is becoming alongside people and helping them to live a holy life, and not just in this this instance, but in life as a whole for all of us. And so to recommend life imprisonment for people, that's just horrendous. It really is horrendous. So before moving on to another easy subject of assisted suicide, did you know that I got two other channels? One of them is a daily devotional video. It's released at 6 a.m. every morning. It's also available on podcast, where I just encourage you to live a fulfilled life for God's glory, looking at a verse from the Bible each day. The other one is called Revved Up. It's sermons from the saddle, as I ride around on my motorbike and delivering a sermon as I'm going along, and I'm going through the Gospel of Mark. So subscribe to those channels. So the headline from The Telegraph says, former Archbishop of Canterbury calls on MPs to debate assisted dying law. Lord George Carey, former leader of the Church of England, said it was profoundly Christian to ensure no one suffers against their will. You know, this is, again, difficult, because this is difficult situations for people to watch their loved ones dying, and people want to die. It's a real moral issue, but again, people are made in the image of God. Life is sacred. You know, there's real biblical principles here. He says it's profoundly Christian to ensure that no one suffers against their will. But, he's even opposing the Church of England official view on this. And so, life is sacred. And we understand now with medicine so much better that the palliative care that is offered to those who are going through this. And let's be honest, most people don't know that this is going to happen, having an illness that is so horrendous that people will look to end their lives early rather than to suffer at the end. We don't know that it could happen to me, it could happen to you, but we have to hold, as Christians, that we don't take life in such a way. Plus, you're also ethically asking somebody to give you drugs that they know is going to kill you. And that person being a doctor, that's very difficult, a very difficult thing to do. Offering palliative care, and the best care possible is the way that should be done, the way that I wish it should that happen to me in the end, that it will be done. And I do understand there's instances it is not done well, and that is not good at all. But this is another one that I cannot agree with. And as a former Archbishop of Canterbury, he's got to be very careful. I know this is why he's doing it, because he'll have influence and it gets into a national newspaper. But, it just doesn't help, really doesn't help. As we proclaim the good news, people coming out saying, life isn't sacred. You can end it early. And look what happens in other countries. So other countries have had assisted suicide, and people from the UK will go out to those countries. It's happened in Canada, and in Canada I think it started in 2016 for very niche at the time. But now you've got articles like this. This is from the Christian Institute. The headline, Canadian bioethicists, they say poverty justifies euthanasia. That if you're poor, it justifies you being killed. There's people in Canada who are depressed and have chosen, instead of therapies or drugs to make them better, they've chosen euthanasia and ended their lives. And it's something that could be turned around, and poverty as well can be turned around. You bioethicists, get your hand in your pocket, help these people. You don't need to kill them. This is a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope. And I cannot agree with this former Archbishop on this. So moving on, if you see, I don't know if I've had my hands up, my hands of paint. It's half term, and I've been painting around, not in the house. I painted in the house, I painted outside the house, painted the garage floor, and I painted the gate on the side of the house, which was just, ugh. So if you see the paint's there. Got a life outside of doing this. Get some time to make my house nice. I've only been here 18 months. It's been a bit of a while. So let's move on. Christian Today goes on with Sentamu resigns as Christian Aid Chair. So Lord Sentamu has resigned from Christian Aid as the chair because, as he says, the exposure of this safeguarding case on him could, he says in his letter, become a distraction to the vital work of Christian Aid. He's been there since November 2021. What I don't understand about this, like the questions, and maybe I'm a bit cynical, is that he says that he's done nothing wrong because technically he's Archbishop and it should stay with the bishop, and it was a bishop at Sheffield at the time, and it's a bishop at Sheffield's problem. But he did get a letter, and so he should have acted on it, especially morally. We're talking about a rape of a 16-year-old boy here by a priest, so he should have made sure that he was involved in asking questions of the bishop of Sheffield. So why would you step down? Why would you step down from the work of Christian Aid if you're saying that you've done nothing wrong? I know it comes as a distraction, but why are you stepping down? What's going on here? Maybe he is realising morally he hasn't done the right thing, and he's stepping down from this work at the moment. I'm not sure, but if he was doing a great job, I'm not sure how good a job he was doing. why should he step down if he believes that he has done nothing wrong? But I believe that morally he has. So the next few stories I really want to bring up, because we need to bring this up and we need to talk about it and we need to make people aware. Persecution of Christians across the world, being murdered, being tortured, being put in prison. We need to hear these stories, and there's 3 stories from across the world. This just happened in the past week. Pastor and wife among 43 Christians killed in central Nigeria. I think there's about 19 Christians a day who are murdered in Nigeria, and just again, there's another slaughter of Christians for being a Christian. And thank you for Christian Today for bringing these stories to light, because we need to get these out in the Christian news and hopefully into the mainstream news. Here we go. In Pakistan, a Christian in Pakistan sentenced to death under blasphemy law. So it's gone to court and they've found him guilty. Of course, surprise, surprise. Hopefully they'll appeal. This man is just 22 years old, and they're going to kill him for being a Christian, basically. And then going on into North Korea. A 2-year-old incarcerated in North Korea prison camp after parents quoted Bible, says US State Department. So this child who's 2 years old, his or her parents were found with the Bible, and so this child now has been sentenced to life in a prison camp because of that. 2 years old, and so that child not only being brought up in a country like North Korea, but now in the camp, never knowing freedom for the rest of their lives, if they ever did anyway. And about 70,000 Christians are incarcerated in North Korea. We worry because of the pushback we're going to get as a church or priests for same-sex marriage, and we got to really realise what's going out in the world for our brothers and sisters out there is far horrendous, and this needs to be highlighted and spoken about. So moving on to good news stories. It's been a bit heavy on the news. A website called ukchristian.news brings us the story of the Big Church Festival 2023. God shines on 30,000 believers across 7 stages. That's amazing, isn't it? 30,000 people going to this weekend, over Pentecost weekend, to celebrate and worship God. Many people from different denominations and all over, I suppose, the UK and Europe as well, camping and having different stages. And it's just really great that Christians can come together to worship God in that way, and hopefully many more years of this to come, especially with all the news coming out at the moment. It's been really rocky with same-sex blessings, and that's across different denominations, really suffering with church attendance at the moment, safeguarding. It's just real hard going, apart from all the stuff in the normal world outside the church, cost of living crisis and all these things. So it's great that we can go and worship God, and God have the glory for that as well, to give him all the glory. Some good news. And moving straight on, smooth, not even having a break. This is from the Diocese of Oxford, my diocese. Oxfordshire priest celebrates platinum anniversary. So this guy, Michael Campling, celebrated 70 years of ministry. He's 96 years old. He still plays tennis, chess and violin and the Banbury strings. He was ordained deacon in 1953 at Salisbury Cathedral, and that service had to be brought forward to Pentecost Sunday to avoid clashing with the Queen's coronation. So it's been ministering for that long. And so 70 years of ministry. Wow. I just pray that his ministry was so fruitful, that many came to Christ, that he was a blessing for people in their times of joy and sadness. And 70 years is a lot longer than people live, let alone to do ministry. So what good news. Probably a very, very unique that you can have 70 years of ministry, and at 96 as well, still going strong, still doing it. Born in 1927. So well done, Michael Campling. Keep going, my friend. Keep going, my friend. I'm sure you're not going to retire anyway soon, and may you rest in glory. So subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, like the video, share it, comment so more people get to see it. And join me on Tuesday as I dig deeper into the story coming out of the Diocese of Truro, looking at their new system that they are putting in place. I've seen already when I was looking on the Church Times website for news, an advertisement for an oversight oversight minister.